An energy crisis. We have an illegal immigration crisis. We have a foggy foreign policy crisis. We have a moral crisis. And we have a severe deficiency of leadership crisis in this country. I may not have ever held a high political office, but I know what leaders do. Leaders make sure that they're working on the right problems, that they assign the right priorities, that they surround themselves with the right people in order to put together the right plans, in order to fix stuff instead of to continue to talk about stuff. That's what leaders do.
Mr. Cain, I want to follow up on your 999 plan for economic growth. That's a 9%. Well, they seem to already know what it is.
This economy is on life support. That's why my 999 plan is a bold solution.
How would you respond to the unilateral declaration of a Palestinian state?
That if you mess with Israel, you're messing with the United States of America.
Yeah! Cain for president! There you go.
Herman Cain.
An early straw poll test yields a shocking upset. Now many are beginning to wonder, is he for real?
Working now.
The voice of the people is much more powerful.
Hello, Bartlett, Tennessee. Oh, shucky ducky. I am thrilled to be here. Thank you for being here today. I want to thank the Bartlett Police Force for giving us that wonderful escort to get here from the airport. Give them a round of applause. Thank you, gentlemen. This is wonderful. Now, one of the best kept secrets about Herman Cain is that he was born not too far from here.
Where was he born?
I was born in Memphis, Tennessee. But I got a lot of relatives that lives in Bartlett, Tennessee. And as far as I'm concerned, all y'all are my relatives today.
I don't know what part of Memphis he was born in.
It is great to be here. And thank you for coming out. You could be somewhere else, doing something else, but you decided to come out to show your support for me, and you don't know how much that encourages me, because as I told a group earlier this week, I don't know how to spell the word quit. Now this is October. 2 months ago, they had something called the Iowa straw poll. And at the end of the Iowa straw poll, we ended up in 5th place, and many of the pundits, many of the so-called political media experts were predicting that that was the end of the Herman Cain campaign. That's what they were predicting. But you see, here's what I have learned in the past several weeks and in the past couple of months. It didn't just start with that Florida straw poll. it didn't just start with that National Federation of Republican Women's straw poll or all of the other straw polls. Here's what I've learned, that finally, some of the pundits are finally getting it. The voice of the people is more powerful than the voice of the media.
Yeah!
That's my auntie over there. I told y'all I got relatives here. The voice of the people are going to decide who's going to be the nominee, and the voice of the people are going to decide who's going to be the next president of the United States of America. Because the American people are sick and tired of business as usual in Washington, D.C. The American people have decided enough is enough. The American people have decided that they do not like the road that this administration has this nation on. The American people have decided that they are tired of political answers, political responses, and politicians. They want a problem solver in the White House come 2012. And so all of a sudden, Herman Cain starts moving up in the polls. Even though somebody said we should have put a fork in my campaign 2 months ago. But you see, I have always had confidence in the American people. I've always had confidence in the voters, the people that make a difference. You see, one of the reasons, I get asked this all the time by the media, why do you think there's a sudden surge of your campaign? You were single digits, and all of a sudden now you are up in the top tier, as they call it. The answer is real simple. It's real simple. Message is more powerful than money, and the American people like the message. And the other thing that I do that's a little different than the other contenders for the Republican nomination is that I don't know how to speak political speak. I have grown up telling it like it is all my life, and I'm going to continue to tell it like it is. Because you see, with what's been going on, we have become a nation of crises. And the American people are sick of this nation being a nation of crises. Ronald Reagan used to describe this nation as that shining city on a hill. But within the last 3 years, we've slid down to the side of the hill. And the American people are tired of being on the side of the hill. They are tired of a president that is apologizing for America's greatness. We are the greatest nation in the world, and I will never apologize for it.
Yeah!
But the good news is we can change things. We've got an economic crisis. We've got an entitlement spending crisis. We've got an energy crisis. We've got an illegal immigration crisis. We've got a foggy foreign policy crisis. We've got a moral crisis. And the biggest crisis we have is a severe deficiency of leadership crisis in the White House. And my approach to each one of these is what every successful business person does. They first make sure that you're working on the right problem. Then you set the right priorities. Then you surround yourself with the right people that will allow you to put together the right plans to fix stuff and get things done. Then you execute those plans. Our biggest domestic problem is this struggling economy, which is on life support. This economy is on life support. And so when I came out with my plan to address this economy, Let me tell you something else before I go through that about being in the top tier of the candidates. Can y'all see that big bullseye on my back? The economy is our biggest challenge. This is why we put together a bold solution. During the debate last Tuesday, one of the other contenders said, but his plan can't pass. You see, politicians put together stuff that they think can pass. Businessmen put together plans that solve the problem. The American people, I ask you, do you want a plan that can pass or one that solves the problem? That's what this is about. Let's solve the problem. This is why I have proposed my 9-9-9 economic growth and jobs plan. It starts with, unlike all of the other guys and lady, throwing out the current tax code. Get rid of the current tax code first. Throw it out.
Trash it!
Then it imposes a 9% business flat tax, a 9% personal income flat tax, and a 9% national sales tax. It gets it down to a 9% rate. It is simple. It is transparent. It is efficient. It is fair. Not fair according to Washington's definition of fair, but fair according to the definition in Webster's dictionary. That's the fair definition that we're going to use.
Exactly. Same for everybody.
And it is also revenue neutral.
Fairer than that.
It has gotten a lot of attention lately, as you know, in the news, because they don't know how to respond to a real solution to a problem. I like the way George Will expressed it when I won the Florida straw poll, and all of the pushback I'm getting from some of the people that are staunchly liberal. When I presented 999 and the American people start saying we like it, their brains exploded. They don't know how to attack it. I get asked by reporters all the time, well, how did you come up with this? Well, see, they think that I just woke up one morning and thunk it up and said I'm going to call it 999. But you see, the fact of the matter is, remember that part about surround yourself with good people? That's what I did. I've surrounded myself with some good people. And we said we need a bold solution. And that's how we came up with 999. One of the big criticisms of 999 is to why they're trying to shoot it down. Now, let me point this out. This is very critical. All of the other Republican candidates, God bless them, I love them all of their proposals start with the current tax code. It's been a mess for decades. But you see, they are afraid to throw it out because they want to put together something that will pass. I want to solve the problem. So one of the big criticisms about this is, wait a minute, by imposing a national sales tax of 9%, they are not looking at the fact that it's 9%. You are giving Congress another way to tax us. No, I'm not. Let me ask you a question. Are you familiar with the 100,000 ways in the current tax code that they have and they use to tax us? It's called sneak taxes. They do it all the time. And we're going to worry about one item called sales tax on retail sales? Let me tell you why I'm not worried about Congress going crazy and turning 999 into 12-12-12 or 15-15. The reason is real simple, and this is why they keep trying to shoot it down. We made it simple and transparent for a reason. Once you elect me president and we pass 999, and I plan to pass it within the first 90 days of my administration. First 90 days, America can't wait. Here's why I'm not worried about taxing national sales, retail sales, because we made it transparent and simple for a reason. If they start talking about raising the 999 rate, you're going to know about it. And the American people are going to raise some noise about it. You are the best deterrent we have for keeping 999 at 999 and not letting the bureaucrats go crazy. It's going to put 6 million jobs back into this workforce. It's going to grow this economy at about 5% minimum. And then when businesses see that we are serious about this, businesses are going to stop planning to survive and they're going to plan to grow. And here's another little feature of the 999 plan that a lot of people haven't figured out yet. They haven't connected the dots because they're too busy trying to figure out how to kill it. Well, they're not going to kill it. Because of that first 9, businesses are able to deduct purchases that they buy to produce the products. Here's the part that they didn't read. Those purchases can be deducted only if they are purchased in the United States of America. It's called level the playing field. What a novel idea. It makes U.S. products much more competitive with other products. And you know all of this talk about what we do about China? Well, let me tell you what the Cain plan is for dealing with China. Outgrow China. That's all we have to do. Outgrow them. And you see, the media is not telling you that 999 levels the playing field. We're going to outgrow China. Businesses are going to stay here, and businesses are going to come back home because we have lowered the tax rates to the lowest possible rate that we can do. I could go on about 999 all day, but I won't, but I think you get the idea. Let me apply this to one other one. Foreign policy. Work on the right problem. Have the right priorities. Surround yourself with the right people. They often ask me, well, who are your economic advisors? And they hate it when I say, I'm not going to tell you. Well, don't you think the American people want to know who's advising you on these new radical ideas? I'm not going to tell you. They're my advisors. They're not yours. They just want to know who my smart people are so they can attack them. That's why they want to know.
That's true.
And then when I come up with my foreign policy philosophy, they say, well, who are you consulting with on foreign policy? I'm not going to tell you. They want to know everything so they can have more ways to try to attack you. Here's how we address foggy foreign policy. You start with a philosophy. And my philosophy is an extension of the Reagan doctrine. President Ronald Reagan's philosophy was peace through strength. The Cain doctrine is peace through strength and clarity. We must clarify who our friends are, clarify who our enemies are, stop giving money to our enemies.
There you go!
And then tell the rest of the world who our friends are that we are going to stand beside. Like Israel, we're going to stand by Israel. That's clarity. One of the reasons that was this attempted assassination, where Iran's fingerprints were all over this. I've had to tell reporters, until I sit down and look at all of the information and all of the intelligence, I can't make a decision about what we ought to do. I do not make decisions on behalf of the United States of America based on news reports. It looks like Iran was behind this, and based upon the reports that we've seen, that's probably the case. But it would be premature for me to say this is what I will do until I, as Commander-in-Chief, look at all of the facts, all of the information, listen to all of the experts, and then make an informed decision. Because with the Cain administration, I can tell you one thing you're not going to see. You're not going to see me shoot from the lip. But if we make it clear to the rest of the world who our friends are, and if this administration had made it clear where we stood with countries like Israel, I don't think they would have felt froggish and tried something like this. Because if you look throughout history, weakness invites attack. And right now, this nation is viewed as weak because we have a president that's viewed as weak because he believes that we can maintain our status in the world by singing Kumbaya, and Kumbaya is not a strategy. Our enemies understand one thing.
That's true.
The strength of the United States of America. They understand the strength of this nation economically. And they understand the strength of our military. They desire to have men and women in uniform as good as we have. This president has decided to weaken our military with cost cutting after cost cutting after cost cutting. Let me tell you what the new priority is going to be. We are going to invest in our military capability so we can put some distance between us and those that would like to be as strong as the United States of America. And this president and this administration talking about how they're going to cut costs. There are some costs we need to cut. And so they've got this super committee. If the super committee can't come up with the cuts that the president is looking for, first they got to come up with it. Right now they haven't done it yet. They're running out of time. If they come up with these cuts that are to go into place, they got to take it to Congress for an up and down vote. So you got 2 points here for it to fail. If it doesn't come up with an up and down vote, and they can't agree on what ought to be cut, and I can tell you right now, 535 committee members aren't going to agree what to be cut because they want to protect their pet projects. Then they have this formula that kicks in. And part of this formula will automatically cut our Defense Department. That's like putting a bullseye on the backs of our men and women in uniform, and I will never put a bullseye on the backs of our men and women in uniform. That's not leadership. That's not leadership. It's all of those crises. I'm going to approach them the way I've made decisions throughout my career, just like you make responsible decisions. And it's not rocket science, folks, even though I used to work on rocket science. But it's not rocket science. It's called common sense. And that's what the American people are hungry for, common sense and common sense solutions. I happen to believe that despite all of our challenges, we can fix them. Because if you look at the history of the United States of America, all the way back to the founding fathers, the thing that we have always done as a nation is we have arisen to the occasion. Many times those occasions were not pretty, but the American people, the spirit of America, has always risen to the occasion. This nation made it through the Civil War. It almost divided this nation, but it didn't. Because with the spirit of America and the will of the people, and because of the leadership of Abraham Lincoln, this nation was able to stay together and grow and prosper again. This nation made it through World War I. We made it through the Great Depression. This nation made it through the civil rights movement of the 50s and the 60s because of the great leadership of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. This nation has always risen to the occasion. And we are facing some of the most challenging times in our history again right now, and I happen to believe that the American people are going to rise to the occasion. And I often have people ask me, because I happen to be an American black conservative, aren't you angry with the history of America? What a stupid question. America, let me share something with you. You already know. The United States of America is great because of its ability to change things. That's what makes us great. And I had a caller to my radio show, young man who called in one night. I don't do radio anymore, folks, because when you run for president, you have to be unemployed. I think that's a silly rule, but I'm unemployed. But that's okay. I'm not in it for the money right now. You know, the teleprompter fell off the bus on the way over here. We were moving too fast. We needed to get rid of some dead weight, so we threw the teleprompter off the bus. But I had a caller call into the radio show one night, and he was dead serious. He identified himself as a young black man who was frustrated. He said, Mr. Cain, I'm frustrated. I said, what are you frustrated about? He said, I'm frustrated because I don't like the direction of this country. I said, oh? I said, do you vote regularly? He said, yes. Do you vote in all of the elections? Yes. Well, what are you frustrated about? Man, I want to do something, but I don't know what to do. I said, do you have a copy of the Declaration of Independence? He said, yes. I said, go get it. This is on the radio. He went and got it, came back a few minutes later. And I said, okay, turn to the part where it says, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. You know, that part right there after, we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator, not government, not Congress, by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. He said, yes, sir, I found it. I said, okay, I want to remind you of three things. First, it said, endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights. He said, yes, I see that. The fact that it said certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, there probably were some others that they were thinking about. He said, yeah. I said it was probably the unalienable right to protect yourself, to protect your family, and to protect your property. We call it the Second Amendment. That's what we call it. It is an unalienable right. And you know what? I kind of like my guns and my Bible. I don't know about you. I like my guns and my Bible. And then I said, here's the other thing you can do when you get to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. He said, what's that, Mr. Cain? Keep reading. Don't stop right there. Because if you keep reading in that great document, it says, when any form of government becomes destructive of those ideals, it is the right of the people to alter or abolish it. We've got some altering and some abolishing to do. That's what this is about. We're going to abolish too much regulation. We're going to abolish this crazy tax code that we have and put in 999, and we are going to alter the occupant of the White House in November 2012. So I happen to believe that even though that shining city on a hill is now slid down to the side of the hill, that we have an opportunity, folks, to move that shining city on a hill back to the top of the hill where it belongs. As your president, that's what we will be able to do. And Ronald Reagan, one of our greatest presidents, he reminded us about this thing called freedom, this thing called liberty, and just how precious it is. When he used to remind the citizens of this great nation, freedom is never more than a generation away from extinction. It must be fought for and protected, or one day we will spend our sunset years telling our children and our grandchildren what the United States of America used to be like. I'm not going to have that conversation with my grandkids. And I don't believe you're going to have that conversation with your grandkids. Here's my challenge to you. Stay informed. Know what's going on. Know what the deception is. Stay informed. Because stupid people are running America. And we've got to outvote them in 2012. I was doing an interview and the reporter said, Mr. Cain, don't you think it's kind of harsh to be calling some people stupid? No, they're stupid. They don't know what's going on. Number two, stay involved. You being here today has ticked off every liberal in Bartlett in Tennessee. They're going to look at this on the news tonight and they're going to go, what are they out there? Another one of those racist Tea Party movements. Well, let me see. I see an awful lot of black racists out here today if this is a racist movement. You know, I've been called racist. I've been called Oreo. I've been called sellout. I've been called shameless. I've got a whole list of names that I've been called.
You're going to call your president.
Let me tell you what the latest one is, in case you hadn't heard. The latest one was by Mr. Harry Belafonte. Now, despite what you think of him as an entertainer, he called me a bad apple. He did. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. He called me a bad apple. And a reporter wanted to know, well, Mr. Cain, what did he mean by that? I said, well, you'd have to ask him. I said, I think what he is saying is because I am an American black conservative who thinks for myself, and I have left that Democrat plantation, I guess that makes me a bad apple. And I'm just going to be a bad apple. I happen to believe that a lot of people in America can think for themselves. Black or white or whatever color, America is thinking for itself. So stay involved. When you leave this rally, figure out what you can do next in order to help some people running at the local level. We've got to maintain control of the House. We've got to get control of the United States Senate, so stay involved. And as Emeril Lagasse says, we all have to kick it up a notch in order to be able to take this country back. I kicked it up to running for president. Now, you don't have to do that, but you can kick it up a notch. And then the third thing is, in addition to stay informed and stay involved, stay inspired. They want you to believe that we can't do this. They want you to believe that because President Obama is going to raise $1 billion to get reelected, that we can't do this. The Cain campaign has not raised the greatest amount of money in this primary. My two other top competitors have raised at least 10 times as much money as I have. But it ain't about money. The American people are more interested in the message. Believe that we can do this. And it is events like this that inspire me. It's those three grandkids that I see on Sunday afternoon when they come over for Sunday dinner after church that inspires me. It is you taking time out of your day to come out and hear my message that inspires me, because I happen to believe that the pundits are wrong. The pundits are wrong. And because of where we have moved to, and because of what we've been able to achieve with less money, but a lot of hard work, I believe that that momentum is going to continue. Yes. And here's one of the biggest reasons that inspires me, that I firmly believe. If you look at the fourth verse of our national anthem, there is a phrase in there that is often overlooked. You see, on all our currency, it says, "In God we trust." But in that fourth verse of the national anthem that often gets overlooked, it says, "In God is our trust." And that's the secret weapon that we have to get this nation back on track. And so, my fellow patriots, who are going to put this shining city on a hill back on top of the hill, even though President Obama is going to raise $1 billion to get reelected, the American people have a different idea for president in 2012. The American people are going to raise some Cain in 2012. God bless you.